What's going on, guys? I'm back with another video today about using lighting and shadows in your animation scene, and maybe also a little bit about body language. So I was going through making this scene in Adobe Flash CC, and I thought it might make a good little video about lighting, because I think the lighting turned out pretty well in this scene. So because I was making the scene and I was thinking about all of the things that are achievable in storytelling with just lighting alone and how much of a powerful tool it can be. So for example, if you had light hitting a face from lower down, you can make the character look like they have like evil intentions. It's used quite a lot in like horror films and comedies and stuff. That's just like one example, but there's plenty more. And also I'm a fan of using silhouettes as a method of communicating things very easily and quickly. So like blanking out the details in a figure and just going with the outlined shapes. But it doesn't always work, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So in this scene in particular, I wanted the snow leopard to feel trapped and kind of intimidated with no way out, and to feel like this man was dangerous. So I did go with the silhouette option for the man. I filled in the line art of the character so that all you could see was his eyes looking out, and I thought that was like quite clear that he was like the bad guy in the situation. And he's got a knife as well, and that's also outlined in the silhouette. I kind of wish that I had done like a light effect maybe with the knife so that the backlighting would sort of hit the knife and gleam a little bit and maybe flare, you know, but I didn't end up doing that. Maybe that was the way that I could have improved this. But anyway, so I think this method is used quite a lot in horror and thriller films because people are generally more scared of what they can't see rather than what they can see. So like the mystery of who is it, you know, who fills that shadow, you don't know. And the more you don't know, the more you have to like leave to your own imagination, and you know, that's where things get scary, I guess. So I wanted this scene to not be too scary, but have a little bit of that thriller kind of feel where it gets your heart pumping. I don't know if I achieved that, but that was the intention anyway. By the way, because the pose still works with the figure in a silhouette, that I'm able to do this, but sometimes you can't get away with it. Like if you show the character from a weird angle, like a downward angle or something, then maybe the silhouette of the figure wouldn't be translated correctly, and so you have to be careful of that. Like you have to make sure that the poses work first so that people clearly understand like what the person is doing. And yeah, anyway, just keep that in mind if you're gonna do this effect. Also, with animating this guy, it was really important to me that his intentions were communicated just by how he entered the room, so with his body language and how he moved. So I enjoyed making his movements very smooth and silky and stealthy like a predator. And now for the cast shadows themselves. So this is probably the most interesting part of the whole scene, and I quite liked how it turned out. In the end, it was new to me, like trying to do this effect, but I'm really glad that I did choose this scene for the cast shadows, like spread out along the floor like I did, because I think it added a lot to the scene. I mean, it was a little bit cliche, but I guess some people would see that as cliche, but I think it was alright. You know, it was only for a small scene. But anyway, I'm rambling on here. For the cast shadows, I used a small perspective grid to make sure that the perspective was in line with the perspective of the corridor floor. So basically how I used that grid is if I was drawing lines, when I'm drawing the very kind of straight lines of the shadow kind of sweeping along the corridor, so obviously it's a very stretched out shadow, I wanted them to be parallel with these lines. So I would kind of gauge how closely they were with the lines, and well, you'll see what I mean. I mean, it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it, but I just developed this little method where you create a nice straight line grid. So I'm pretty sure I saw this cast shadow effect in the film before, but I can't remember which film I saw it in. And I also attempted to do an extra shadow on one of the walls just to see how it would look with one of the walls being cast in shadow as well, because I think I had seen that part on a film before, but I ended up taking it out because firstly I didn't know if it was accurate to real life, and I thought it might mess things up, and also I thought it was going to overcomplicate the scene unnecessarily. So instead I went for the less is more approach of just having the character enter the room and with the shadow on the floor, and I decided to leave the walls bare. So yeah, I ended up scrapping that part, but oh well, it didn't really take that long to make anyway. Also, with drawing my shadows, I like to use a thin pencil tool to draw them because it leaves a very crisp and defined edge to it, and I like my shadows to be nice and defined in that way. But even though I guess you can get blurred shadows under different lighting and other effects, which is still interesting. And also I think it would be interesting to try a cross cast shadows, like two cast shadows crossed over each other, like you would get with like two different light sources at different angles, but that's going to be saved for a whole different video, I guess. We're coming to the end of that now, so I know it was just a short little video, but I wanted to share how I did this scene with you guys, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please leave a comment or suggestion of what you would like to see me make next for the channel, and please visit my website for more tutorials and to download the source files of this animation, and I'll see you. For the design, I wanted the snow leopard to look as realistic as I could manage, but at the same time for him to be able to express emotions like on a human level. So that required me to make a few alterations with the eyes, but generally they are quite expressive.